everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I am joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. We will also be reacting to last week's Conference League and Europa League results, and Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So coming up next, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League results. So I'll just quickly go through all the results that were played. So on Saturday, the fixtures were Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Luton Town 1, Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0, Brentford 1, Everton 3, Burnley 0, Man United 1, and on Sunday, the results were Arsenal 2, Tottenham 2, Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 3, West Ham 1, and finally Sheffield United 0, Newcastle United 8. So Pearse, from these lists of results, which match or matches stands out to you the most?
Well, for me, there's two matches that stand out to me, and that's the North London derby, where it finished 2-2, and Sheffield United versus Newcastle, where it was 8-0 to the visitors. So I think we're going to start off with a high-scoring game. Sheffield United, in the games that I've seen this season, they've been pretty competitive, pretty combative. They've been narrowly defeated, or they picked up points, or they narrowly get a win. But in this game, from start to finish, they were just not at it at all. They were Newcastle were first to every first ball and every second ball, and they looked as if a lot of the players just chucked it. Because a lot of the goals are just far too easy. I think it was one of the goals. I think it was Anthony Gordon's. They allowed the players just to cut inside, or they allowed Bruno Guimaraes just so much time to pick passes left and right. And obviously, I think there's a debatable one for the Longstaff goal where Anthony Gordon handles the ball to keep it in play. But apart from that, I don't think Sheffield United can have any questions. And I think Paul Heckingbottom will have a long, hard look at his team, and he'll give him a good rollicking and get back to the training pitch, because that was far from a Premier League display. That was like a League One, League Two performance. They did everything wrong in the game. They didn't match the runners. They didn't run, and Newcastle just looked as if they were playing a freedom, and they looked as if the shackles were off, because they struggled in midweek in the Champions League away to San Siro. Well, themselves should have been battered, but from Nick Pole's heroic performance in the San Siro, they come away with a point in that. But no, fantastic result for Newcastle, but no side should be getting beat 8-0. But yeah, fantastic form from Newcastle. But Sheffield United, that was an abysmal display, and they'll need to recover quickly if they want to stay in the division. But in terms of the North London derby, I think it was everything that we expected. Like, a lot of people writing off Spurs beforehand, saying how many Spurs players get in the Arsenal team. But as you can see, Arsenal haven't started the season as well as they did last year. And that's obviously with the recruitment of obviously Kai Havertz and Declan Rice. And a 2-2 result was probably a fair result for the game. Thought Son's two goals are fantastic. Clinical. Him and Madison just linked up superbly, and obviously the star man for Arsenal was the young winger Bukayo Saka, who again put another excellent display in. And obviously that's now Spurs and Arsenal both still unbeaten to this season, and I think that's a phenomenal achievement. More for Tottenham, because the fact is that this is Ange Postecoglou's first season in charge, and he's undergone a massive rebuild, and obviously lost his star man at the start of the season, Harry Kane. But no, I'm liking the look of the way Tottenham play. They've got a freedom, and for large majority spells of the game, they actually outplayed Arsenal at Emirates, which was a sight to behold, because there was times where Like for instance, Madison lost the ball to the edge of his own box because he just thought he had more time, and Arsenal didn't punish them. But that was the difference. I thought Tottenham punished Arsenal when they made mistakes, and that was the difference. And I do think Arsenal and Tottenham will be fighting for that top four, but I don't think Arsenal will be fighting for the title.
Yeah. There's quite a few results here that just been looking through that stand out to me. So obviously, I'll quickly just the Sheffield United Newcastle's. I think it's a big highlight of the week. Obviously, to lose 8-0 in the Premier League it's unheard of. Really, it doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen a lot in any league, to be honest. But a really, really bad day for Sheffield United. I think everybody knew it was going to be tough for them, the promoted side. But to be at home and lose 8-0, it's just terrible for them. And some of the goals that they conceded were just so schoolboy. I mean, it was really, really easy. It was far too easy at times for Newcastle. Interestingly, as well for Newcastle, that it was 8 different goal scorers, which Eddie Howe will be so pleased about. Usually a team only has one main goal scorer, but for Newcastle to have 8 different goal scorers on that day is really good for them. I just want to say, Pearse, about Sheffield United and Paul Heckingbottom. Do you think that his job's under threat now?
I struggle to see any manager that survives after that, because I remember the last sort of manager that had results like that, but he didn't really last long, was, remember, Ralph Hasenhüttl at Southampton, where he had 2-0, I think it was 8 or 9-0 defeats. And once you have like massive results like that, it's quite damaging. And the same happened in the SPL last season. Jack Ross against Celtic, I think pretty sure he was sacked like the next week or two. So his job is under serious threat. I do think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the next couple of games, especially for Sheffield United and Paul Heckingbottom, it's going to be really important. There's going to have to be a big reaction because, I think all the eyes are going to be on Sheffield United now, how they respond after such a big, heavy defeat. So just a couple of results. So obviously Chelsea, Aston Villa. Aston Villa went to Stamford Bridge and won 1-0. And for Chelsea at the moment, I mean, for Chelsea fans, it just must be such a struggle to watch their team. They spent all this money on all these star players, all these star young players as well. And for Pochettino, it just, they just can't get the results at the moment. Because when you watch Chelsea, they actually are a good side to watch. That I think in terms of data and statistics are right up there in the top charts of the league, but they just can't score. They just don't have that ruthlessness in front of goal where they can finish their chances. And they're getting punished for it at the moment. They're not winning enough games. I think they're sitting 14th or 15th in the Premier League table, which is, it's for Chelsea, it's that they shouldn't be there. To be honest, with the squad they've got, they should be challenging right up in the top 4 places. So yeah, it's really tough for the Chelsea at the moment. And I think it's just going to be a matter of it's just going to take time for them. Obviously, it's a new team, so tough times for Chelsea at the moment. And then obviously the North London derby, Arsenal Tottenham, which was a great game to watch. Both teams, both trying to win the match. Arsenal started the match better. They really put Tottenham under a lot of pressure. Arsenal didn't take their chances. Obviously, the Jesus chance that he should have scored. And then once Tottenham got the first goal back in the game, when they got back into it 1-1, I felt Tottenham grew in confidence from then. And they really performed well. Because the last few North London derby results for Tottenham at the Emirates Stadium it's been really tough for them. They've had some pretty bad defeats. So yeah, so for Postecoglou, it's really, really positive for him at the moment. For me, it's not a surprise, to be honest. I always kind of knew he'd do well in the Premier League when he left Celtic. And just finally, the Brentford Everton result, 3-1 to Everton, which was Everton's first result of the season, first win of the season. To go to Brentford away and get a result like that is really good. Lots of teams struggle at Brentford to pick up a win. So for Sean Dyche, he'll be delighted. Because it's been quite a tough start for them. And yeah, Calvert-Lewin got on the score sheet as well. So Everton fans will be hoping that he stays fit, and kind of contributes a lot this season because I think Everton do have quite a good squad. I think they've got a good manager as well, in my opinion. I think Sean Dyche is a really underrated manager. I think he always sets his teams up well. Yeah, really good result for Everton as well. I just wanted to finally, Pearse, from the Premier League. So, is there a team that's impressed you the most this season?
Yeah, it's got to be two teams that have excited me the most in terms of when I watched them as a neutral, and it's Brighton and Tottenham. Just the way they play football, it's two very attacking minded coaches, and De Zerbi and Ange Postecoglou, like both. But I think it's more impressive the Tottenham. The fact is, in a short space of time, only a short pre-season, that have changed away from this kind of 3/5 at the back, attacking long ball, kind of Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, Espirito Santo tactics, and they've then went to a 4-2-3-1, and you've seen the rejuvenation of, for instance, someone like Ayiz Basuma. I think he's been absolutely outstanding this season, considering he couldn't get a look in last year. But it just shows you what a top quality coach can do to a player and bring the confidence. And obviously, with the getting Son back on to his best form again is an unbelievable asset for Tottenham. And I think him and Maddison, the link up could be similar to like Son and Kane, but I think Son this time will be the finisher. I think Maddison will get a lot of assists, so they two are very key. But no, I like the look of that Vicario and goals. He's a lot more solid than Lloris because Lloris was prone to a mistake. And I think Van de Ven was a underrated signing because I think him alongside Romero, they were crying out for a proper centre back because had Davison Sanchez, Ben Davies, and obviously they've got Romero, who I think is a good defender, but he is a bit rash at times. But I think he's a young, composed defender, and I think you're starting to see the really nice attacking football by Tottenham, and obviously Brighton. They just get fantastic recruitment, brilliant young players. They sell their best players for massive fees, and they go again. And I just love the look of like Evan Ferguson and Matoma and like Solly Martin, right? And then you've now got young Ansu Fati from Barcelona. So exciting times for both teams, and I think Tottenham, the fact it's no Europe, will be beneficial for them in terms of like a full week to prepare, and they're out of the League Cup as well. So it's brilliant for them in terms of like maybe pushing for top four more. They've been kind of like underdogs in terms of like I think for me they're probably favourites to get top four. And Brighton playing in Europe as well, I think that's a phenomenal achievement for them. And I can see them growing and maybe going into the latter stages there. And I think again they're just another exciting team to watch.
Yeah. My team that's impressed me so far the most is Tottenham. It's still very early days, but it's been a summer of change for Tottenham. They've had to change the style of play. They've lost their star player in Harry Kane, and it's just for me, what's impressed me the most is just the fact that how much Ange Postecoglou has changed that style of play for them. As you said, they were a very defensive team under Conte, Espirito Santo, and Mourinho for the last couple of years. They didn't really press high up the pitch. There was no real energy in the team. Last season was really difficult for them, and so far this season, it's totally different. They're much more front footed. It's just it's just exciting to watch. It's so good to see players like Son kind of expressing themselves more. He seems to be having such a great time under Ange at the moment. It's not surprising to me. Me and you know a lot about Postecoglou in terms of Scottish football, and it doesn't surprise me how that he's come in and he's brought that positivity to Tottenham. So Tottenham are the team that have impressed me the most so far. It's still early days, but as you said, the fact that they've got no European football, they're out the cup. I think the fact that they can just solely focus on the Premier League, that might benefit them in terms of getting a really good finish this season in terms of challenging for the top four. So so Tottenham are the team that's impressed me the most so far this season. So we will now move on to discussing last weekend's Scottish Premier League results. So I'll just quickly go through the results. So on Saturday, the results were Livingston 0, Celtic 3, Dundee 2, Kilmarnock 2, Hibs 2, St Johnstone 0, St Mirren 1, Hearts 0. And on Sunday, the results were Aberdeen 4, Ross County 0, Rangers 1, Motherwell 0. So Pearse, which match or matches stands out to you the most?
Yeah, so for me, there's two matches that stand out. Is Livingston 0, Celtic 3, and Aberdeen 4, Ross County 0. So I'm going to start off with the Aberdeen Ross County. That was Aberdeen's first victory of the season, which is phenomenal for them because the fact is they were under a bit of pressure because they've not been playing great football under Barry Robson this season. I think he's been chopping and changing between formations and personnel. But I think they look back to their free-flowing best, and you've got Miovski and Duke on the score sheet again. Like, they two are vital for Aberdeen to have any success this season and push for that top six in European places again. And obviously, Miovski got a double, Duke, and then obviously Jamie McGrath got a goal as well. So good for them considering on back a European performance away in Germany. And obviously they've got they're facing the same opposition again on Wednesday in the League Cup. So that'll be a tough task away up to Dingwall on Wednesday. So, and obviously Ross County will be looking for a better showing. So that'll be a tough task to do that. And then obviously on Saturday as well, they've then got another tough away trip to Ibrox. So the tough games are coming thick and fast, and Aberdeen need to just pick up as much points as they possibly can because they're down in 11th position and really struggling, but no, more like themselves for last season. And obviously, we've seen them at the start of the season. They gave Celtic a really good game at the opening game. And I think you'll see more positive things to come from Aberdeen now. In terms of Livingston and Celtic, thought Celtic played really well away to Livingston because obviously, as we know, the plastic pitch is horrendous at times. The way the ball bobbles or the ball sticks, you can't really play a lovely passing football game. But I thought for me, like, the game was just full of drama because I thought Livingston caused Celtic problems in the opening 45 minutes with just that long ball in behind, and it seemed to catch Celtic out time and time again. And then obviously a moment of madness from Joe Hart, and it was a straight red card. I don't think there's any debate in the decision, but obviously I think the pitch didn't help. Maybe he was expecting the ball to bounce closer to him, but it is what it is. It was a split-second decision, and he just missed the ball by a couple of inches and caught the man. But obviously I think from then you expected Livingston to then really go for it and really try to put Celtic under serious pressure because obviously Scott Bain in goals. He's not played much football for Celtic in a while. I think he's Celtic's third choice goalkeeper, so he's only in the squad really for the Scottish quota for Europe. And also that time Celtic will 1-0 up at half time. And then also the sucker punch right after half time within 2 minutes. Celtic make it 2-0 through Matt O'Reilly. Brilliant balling by Kyogo. Miadi should have scored. And then O'Reilly, he just seems to be in the right position at the right time. And I think he's having a phenomenal start to the season. I think Brendan Rodgers started the best at him because we know his quality on the ball, but you can see he's kind of trying to make him more into like kind of Frank Lampard type midfielder in terms of the late runs into the box, because obviously we know like players like Maeda, Kyogo, Abada like to have the front post or the back post runs, early runs. But if you've got somebody falling up, more often than not, you can get 10 to 15 goals a season from midfield, and that's really important. And obviously the goal at the end was sublime by Maeda because usually you don't accustom with him with that sort of finish. You kind of more accustomed to do with his work rate and energy. And I thought he was probably a standout performer at the weekend because down to 10 men, he just runs and runs and runs. I think it was the 95th minute, and he literally closes down a lost cause and then chops inside with a Cruyff turn and bends it in with his weak foot, and you're like, wow. But no, I think that was for me. They two were the standout fixtures in the SPL this weekend.
Yep. There's 3 matches here for me, so I'll just quickly run through them. So, starting off with the Livingston Celtic match. So obviously that finished 3-0 Celtic. What stood out to me the most for that was the fact that Celtic won that match with 10 men. They were 1-0 up at the time when Joe Hart got sent off, which, I don't think anyone's got any debates about. I think it was a red card. But it was just how Celtic controlled the game after that. I felt, I actually felt Livingston played better when Celtic had 11 men rather than when Celtic had 10 men. And you were just saying there about Daizen Maeda. I think, I think if Celtic go down at 10 men, especially in league in the league, I don't think Celtic need to really worry if they've got Maeda on the pitch. He makes up for the player missing, with all the running that he does. So that was a really impressive performance from Celtic. I think it was more kind of like them. It's been quite a slow start to the season for them. They've not really hit their heights, and it was a good response to their Champions League defeat last Tuesday. So that was one of the matches for me. The other one was the Hibs and Johnston match, which finished 2-0. That was Nick Montgomery's first match in charge at Easter Road, and for him to get his first home win and a clean sheet as well, he'd be really happy with that. Hibs they've had a tough start to the season as well. And I think one of the players that Hibs brought back into the team on Saturday was Jair Tavares, who came from Benfica last summer. He's had quite a tough time. Under Lee Johnson, he got taken out of the team. He wasn't really part of the squad, but Nick Montgomery seems to have brought him back in, and he played on Saturday. So for Hibs, it just seems to be like a fresh start for all the players. And to get a 2-0 result, a 2-0 win, it's really, really, Nick Montgomery will be pleased with that. And lastly, the Aberdeen Ross County result, which finished 4-0 to Aberdeen. As you said, Aberdeen's first win of the season, which was much needed. And they'll be delighted with that after a European game on Thursday, which we will talk about more just a little bit. But 4 goals and a clean sheet. Barry Robson will be delighted with that. And I think that result kind of comes off the confidence that they took from Thursday, which again we will talk about just in a little bit. Aberdeen will be hoping that they can push on from that. And as you said, they've got a tough match coming up against Rangers at Ibrox. So these are the kind of 3 matches that that stand out to me the most, and obviously just a little thing about St Mirren. They beat Hearts 1-0 as well, and St Mirren are still right up there on the table, so it'd be quite harsh not to kind of include them. So we'll move on to last week's Europa League and Conference League matches. So we had teams from England and Scotland who played in these matches. And the result, and we did discuss the preview for these matches last week. So the results, they finished Liga Warsaw 3, Aston Villa 2, Eintracht Frankfurt 2, Aberdeen 1, LASK 1, Liverpool 3, West Ham United 3, TSC Baka Pola 1, Brighton 2, AEK Athens 3, and Rangers 1, Real Betis 0. So Pearse, from these list of fixtures, which match or matches stands out to you the most?
So I've picked 4 matches, 2 from Scotland and 2 from England. So we'll start off with the Scottish contingency. We're going to start off with the Rangers 1, Real Betis 0. I thought Real Betis at times played really nice football, but they looked a bit suspect at the back, and we kind of touched on that in the preview. And obviously they did have 40-year-old Claudio Bravo on goals, and you've seen the talent of Isco on show, but at times they kind of lacked a cutting edge Betis, and when you do that at Ibrox, and Rangers kind of defended resolutely, and Rangers are always a danger from set pieces, and that proved to be the key, and the only goal of the game for Sima. Just a stramash in the box and just managed to get it over the line. And I thought Jack Butland at times was superb and kept him in the game at times. But a phenomenal result, and I think Rangers kind of saved their best performances for Europe time and time again. And I think it's a great start for them in terms of the Europa League to get 3 points in your first game. So it's important for the Scottish sides to win their home games to have any chance to progress in the latter stages. And in terms of Aberdeen in the Conference League away to Eintracht Frankfurt, like we touched on in the preview, obviously the pure start to the season at the rock bottom of the league, just above I think it's Ross County. And obviously they're kind of struggling for form. And I think they gained confidence in the league after this performance because they went away to Germany and they were 1-1 at half time. And obviously the Frankfurt's opening goal was a penalty as well. So you can take a lot of confidence for that. And obviously it's no kind of, most sides can struggle against German opposition in Europe, especially away from home. And to lose narrowly 2-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt, who've got World Cup winner Mario Götze, Kevin Trapp in goals, Sebastian Rode, a lot of top quality players. So I think they can take real confidence for that, and that they can show they can compete at this level. And obviously to not get hiding is a positive, and to show that they can compete will do them a world of good, and hopefully they can pick up points in the not too distant future in the next group game. So in terms of the English contingency, so I've went with the Brighton 2, AEK Athens 3. I really suspected Brighton to put on a proper show and show why they're one of the standout teams in the Premier League, who are sitting currently third in the Premier League at the time of recording. But I think they did make a lot of changes to the side, and maybe that's down to rotation in the Premier League and in Europe, try to balance it. But I think maybe they disrespected the Greek opposition a little bit, because AEK Athens, we've known through obviously playing Celtic previously a couple of years ago in the Champions League qualifiers, they are a really good opposition, and especially they usually quite a good Europa League side, and they proved that again, by getting a fantastic result away from home. And in terms of Liga Warsaw and Aston Villa, that's the other game I've chose. So Liga Warsaw 3, Aston Villa 2. And I think with Unai Emery, he's one of the favourites to win the Europa Conference League, considering he's won the Europa League 4 or 5 times with Sevilla and Villarreal most recently. But to lose 3-2 away from Liga Warsaw would have probably shocked most fans, because they expect, like Brighton, they've had a really good start to the season apart from the Newcastle game. And obviously the squad themselves is really, really good. But like you say, similar to AEK Athens, Liga Warsaw is a good Europa League side, and it can cause a lot of teams problems. And that's going to happen every now and again. But it just maybe a wake-up call for the Aston Villa and Brighton that it won't be a cakewalk in the Europa League and the Conference League.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's a mixed bag of results that have surprised me. So I'll start off with what you were just saying there. The Liga Warsaw Aston Villa match, which finished 3-2 to Liga Warsaw. A match I did not expect Aston Villa to lose at all. When you compare the squads between Aston Villa and Liga Warsaw, Aston Villa squad is, in paper, it looks much, much better. But, again, I think Aston Villa might have underappreciated Liga Warsaw a little bit. Liga Warsaw is a really tough place to go to in Poland. Fans, they really make it a really tough place. The fans are really vocal. There was quite a cool display for the Liga Warsaw fans put up last week in Poland. So no, it was a great game to watch. Obviously, lots of goals, but that's a start Aston Villa did not want to make at all. Because they're tipped to be one of the favourites to win the Conference League. So a short result there. And then Aberdeen and Frankfurt, which finished 2-1 to Frankfurt. Me and you talked last week on the podcast that we just hope Aberdeen don't come out this match and get get beat by 5-6 goals. And to be honest, it was a polar opposite. I thought they were brilliant on the night, and they defended really, really well. Really frustrated Eintracht Frankfurt a lot. Eintracht Frankfurt had a lot of the ball, but Aberdeen, they really defended well. They were in really good shape, and they were a threat in the counter attack as well, and that's how they got the goal. And they were actually unlucky in the end, Aberdeen, to not get a point. They had a really good chance in the 90th minute, and they didn't take it. But that's a fantastic result. Well, it's not a fantastic result because they lost the game, but they can take a lot of confidence in that. And I actually think that this result, although they lost the match, I think that could be a springboard for them this season. They've just shown on Sunday that I think they have taken confidence from it. They've just went back to league action. They won 4-0. So a really kind of positive performance from Aberdeen, and they'll take confidence, as you said, that they can do something in this Conference League this season. And the Brighton AEK Athens result, which finished 3-2 to AEK Athens. Again, I did expect Brighton to win that. Just with the form that they were in, the fact they went to Old Trafford just before that and won. And the fact that they've started their campaign with defeat is, disappointing for them. I don't think, especially at home. Home form in Europe is really important. But again, AEK Athens are a really good side. Celtic know about them. The fact AEK Athens put them out the Champions League qualifiers a few years ago. And Brighton are in a really tough group. They've got Athens. They've also got Ajax and Marseille in their group as well. So that's going to be really tough for them to try and get out that group. And the fact that they've started off with a defeat, it makes it even more difficult for them. And then just lastly, the Rangers Real Betis match, which finished 1-0 to Rangers. A really good start for Rangers against a good Real Betis side. I did say that this was going to be quite an even game, and it was an even game. There wasn't really much between the two teams. But Rangers have come out the match with 3 points, and I think they deserved it, especially with the second half performance. I felt they were the better side. And yeah, they can take confidence in that, and that'll be a group that they'll be looking to get out of and get into the knockout rounds. So a really mixed bag of results. Some results there that I didn't expect at all. And we'll talk about more the Europa League and Conference League when it returns to action in the next week or so. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so we'll start off with K-League 1 action. So Saturday, 23rd of September, we had Daejeon Hana Citizen 3, Suwon Samsung Blue Wings 1, Jeju United 1, FC Seoul 3, and then on Sunday, the 24th of September, we had Gwangju FC 0, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 1, Suwon FC 2, Ulsan Hyundai Motors 3, Gangwon FC 1, Incheon United 1, Daegu FC 0, Pohang Steelers 0. So after the result at the weekend, this leaves the table looking like this. So the top of the table, we've still got Ulsan Hyundai, 8 points clearly, Pohang Steelers in second on 57. And in third position, we've got Gwangju FC, who have still cemented that place in third for the time being on 48 points. And then we've got a real tight table right below that. So we've got, in fourth position, we've got FC Seoul on 46, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors in fifth on 46, and Daegu FC in sixth position on 45 points, and Incheon United in seventh place on 44 points. With only 2 matches remaining in the K-League season before it finishes for the season, we've got what is it, five teams fighting for that third position in terms of the Asian Champions League positions, and it's going to go right down to the wire. Gwangju FC been brilliant form, but also losing at the weekend is kind of putting them right back in the mix, and obviously only 2 points ahead of SSL and Jeonbuk. It was really up for grabs, that third position, and it goes all the way down to 7th position. And at the bottom of the table, we've got Suwon Samsung Blue Wings in 12th position on 22 points. Gangwon FC in 11th on 25 and Suwon FC on 29. So it's a fight out between Gangwon and Suwon Samsung Bloomings for automatic relegation. And obviously the other team will probably fight it out in the playoff round. Yeah, so an exciting end to the season and the K-League season. So moving on to the Japanese First Division, the J League 1. On Saturday, the 23rd of September, we had Albirex Niigata 3, Yokohama FC 1, FC Tokyo 3, Sagantosa 2, Nagoya Grampus 1, Hokkaido Constable Sapporo 1, Kawashiro Reysol 1, Avispa Fukuoka 3, Kyoto Sanga 1, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 0, Vissel Kobe 1, Ceres Osaka 0, and then on Sunday, the 24th of September, we had Kashima Antlers 1, Yokohama F Mariners 2, Shonan Bellmare 0, Kawasaki Frontale 2, and last but not least, Gambo Osaka 1, Urawa Red Diamonds 3. So that's leaving the table looking like this. So we've got Vissel Kobe on top with 55 points, and closely followed by Yokohama F Mariners and 54 points, only a point behind. And then obviously we've got all the way down from 3rd to 8th. It's so tight. We've got Urawa Red Diamonds in 3rd position at 49, Nagoya Grampus in 4th position at 47, and then we've got Kashima Antlers in 5th position with 46 points. 6th position, Ceres Osaka at 45, and then Sanfrecce Hiroshima and Avispa Fukuoka in 7th and 8th respectively on 44 points. So between 3rd and 8th, it's only separated by 5 points. With only 6 matches remaining, it's set up for a fascinating finish to the season in terms of Yokohama F Mariners and Vissel Kobe fighting out for the title, and the other side's fighting out for that 3rd and 4th position for the Asian Champions League positions. And at the bottom of the table, we've got, similar to the Korean League, Shonan Bellmare in 18th position on 21 points, Yokohama FC in 17th position on 22, and Kawashiro Reysol on 16th position with 26 points. So it's a fight out for Yokohama FC and Shonan Bellmare for automatic relegation. And Kawashiro Reysol have got a wee bit of distance, but they'll be looking to push themselves further away from that drop zone. So in terms of Asian football news, we've got FC Seoul winger Seong-Jin has been nominated for FIFA Puskas Award. It was a wonder strike after beating a few men whilst under national duty for South Korea under-20s against Jordan under-20s. It would be some achievement for Kang, 20, who has already attracted interest from host of clubs around Europe. And if he wins this coveted award, it may accelerate his move to European football. South Korea advanced to the round of 16 of the 2022 Asian Games, winning all 3 group stage games. If South Korea wins the gold medal, the players, including PSG's Lee Kang-in, will be exempt from military service. Jeju United have sacked manager Nam Ki-il following a 3-1 home defeat to FC Seoul at the weekend. And Suwon Samsung Bluewins have followed suit by sacking Kim Byung-Soo after the 3-1 defeat away to Daejeon Hana Citizen. With only 2 league games remaining and being rooted to the foot of the table and relegation looming, young Ki-Hun has been put in caretaker charge for the remaining 2 matches. And last but not least, Seong-Jin, following his 2 goals in North London derby against Arsenal on Sunday, Son has now scored more North London derby goals, 6, than Gareth Bale, Henry and Robin van Persie, all on 5 goals, which I think is some achievement. And now he's the 6th in all-time top Tottenham all-time top goal scoring charts on 150, and Harry Kane tops that list on 280 goals. And that's your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be able to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.